Welcome back to This Day in Irish History. I'm your host, Raymond Welsh. Before we dive into today's story, if you'd like to explore other significant events that happened on this day in Irish history, visit thisdayirishhistory.com. The link is in the episode description. Now, let's journey back to April 4th, 1922, when a dramatic and deeply consequential event unfolded in Dublin's Mansion House. On that day, the anti-treaty wing of the IRA held a convention that would formalise a split within the Republican movement and push Ireland ever closer to civil war. To understand the gravity of the convention, held on April 4th, we have to go back just a few months to December 1921. The Anglo-Irish Treaty, signed in London, brought an end to the War of Independence, establishing the Irish Free State as a self-governing dominion within the British Empire. But for many Republicans, the treaty's terms were unacceptable. The oath of allegiance to the British Crown, the partition of the island, and the failure to secure a full republic were seen as betrayals of everything they had fought for. The IRA, which had waged guerrilla war against British forces, found itself deeply divided. On one side were those who accepted the treaty as a stepping stone toward full independence, including Michael Collins and Arthur Griffith. On the other were those who saw the treaty as a fatal compromise, chief among them being Eamon de Valera, Liam Lynch, and Rory O'Connor. The IRA's unity, which had been its greatest strength during the War of Independence, was rapidly disintegrating. The April 4th convention was called by anti-treaty officers who rejected the authority of the Dáil Éireann, which had narrowly approved the treaty. Around 200 delegates representing IRA units from across the country gathered in the round room of the Mansion House, the very building where the first Dáil had proclaimed the Irish Republic just 3 years earlier. But this time, the purpose was not to declare independence. It was to challenge the legitimacy of the very government that had emerged from the treaty. In a defiant move, the convention declared that the IRA owed its allegiance only to the Irish Republic, proclaimed in 1916 and reaffirmed by the first Dáil in 1850-1919. The delegates rejected the authority of the Provisional Government established under the treaty, asserting instead that they would continue to uphold the Republic. A new IRA executive was elected, with Liam Lynch as Chief of Staff. This executive represented a parallel military command, openly in conflict with the leadership of the pro-treaty forces. This was more than a symbolic rupture. It marked the moment when the possibility of reconciliation between the pro- and anti-treaty camps began to vanish. The formation of a separate IRA executive was effectively a military mutiny. It established a command structure that no longer answered to the civilian government in Dublin, but to an ideal of the Republic that the anti-treaty side believed had been betrayed. The Mansion House Convention also exposed the widening gulf between military and civilian Republican leadership. Eamon de Valera, who had opposed the treaty, was not directly involved in organising the convention, and his influence over the anti-treaty IRA was increasingly uncertain. The movement was becoming more militant, more radicalized, and more convinced that the only way to defend the Republic was through force. In the weeks that followed, tensions continued to escalate. The occupation of the four courts in Dublin by anti-treaty forces in April was a clear provocation, and efforts at negotiation faltered. By June 1922, civil war erupted. Brother against brother, comrade against comrade. The guns that had once been turned on the British were now being used against fellow Irishmen. The April 4th Convention remains one of the most pivotal and tragic moments in Irish history. It was a moment when ideological purity and military loyalty overtook political pragmatism, when the dream of an independent Ireland fractured, not under the weight of foreign oppression, but from within. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Ireland's rich past. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, I'm Raymond Welsh. Slán go foil.